you guys? It's live training time. Happy Friday. Also, happy Friday. Today, we're going to be talking about all three of the macros while we jam out here. All three of the macros, what they are, why they're important, what they do in our body, and how to track them a little bit easier. How fun is this, you guys? So as you're hopping on, say hello. Make sure you say hello. This is the first time you're ever watching a live training of mine. Make sure you let me know down below because I want to thank you and welcome you. If you've watched many of my lives before in the past, make sure you comment down below, hashtag, let's say hashtag, Will Squat for Pizza. Because I want to welcome you as well and thank you for joining. And let me know if you're watching this team live or team replay. Y'all know the drill by now. We're going live on Facebook and on Instagram. So just keep that in mind as I'm trying to talk to you guys both across both platforms. This is going to be a good one. I'm excited. We're kind of taking it back to the basics today, all the way back to macros 101, but it's super important. I actually just had a conversation this morning with a beautiful lady who was needing some information on the macros, trying to get started on her macro journey. So this is going to be super, super informative, and it's going to be quick, because I know you guys are busy. It's Friday. I'm busy. I got stuff to do. Y'all got stuff to do. So let's keep this simple, okay? All right. We're going to start with protein, my favorite, and, well, could be one of the most important macros, but they're all important, right? Because they all have their own job. So let's go over what those jobs are, okay? So macros stands for macronutrients, and there are three of those, okay? Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. They each kind of play their own role in the body, but together, the three of them make up the energy that our body needs every single day just to be alive. Like even if we just laid in our beds and didn't move a single muscle and we were just vegetables for the rest of our lives, our body is burning calories or energy, right? And our body needs a certain amount of calories or energy. You kind of use those interchangeably to be alive, right? And to function, for all these systems inside of us to be working properly. Our brain, our organs, our cells, everything, all right? And it gets that energy and those calories from these macronutrients because every macro has a certain amount of calories associated with it. Getting a little ahead of myself here, but let's go. Let's start with protein, okay? And how I teach about protein, I call this the aesthetic macro, basically, okay? It's the muscle building macro, okay? You've heard of this term called muscle protein synthesis. That's the process of your protein building that muscle tissue, okay? It's not just as easy as eat protein and you build muscle. There's some other things that come into play with that. But protein has to be present in order for that to even be a possibility, okay? So that's why I call protein the aesthetic or the body macro, because when we're trying to create an aesthetic or build a body, especially these bodybuilders, professional bodybuilders, or bodybuilders for fun, kind of like me, protein is going to be 100% necessary, a non-negotiable, okay? Because it just won't happen. You won't get your results without it, okay? 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories, okay? So say you're eating 100 grams of protein per day, that's 400 total calories. So 400 of your daily calories is coming from those 100 grams of protein, okay? So in the end, when you add it all up, proteins, carbs, and fats, it equals your daily calories, okay? Protein also has the highest thermic effect of all three of the macros. So what does that mean? That means that once you consume your protein, it requires more energy from your body to process and digest it. So your body's working harder. And when your body's working, your body is burning calories because it takes energy, requires energy to do all of its things, including digestion. Okay, so it takes about 30% more to process protein versus fats and carbs. Okay, so by just consuming it and digesting it and processing it in your body, you're burning calories, more calories than if you were processing and digesting carbs and fats. Okay, that's what that means. Okay, and it's also happens to be the most satiating macro. I feel like this is kind of individual, but in general, that's usually the case. Protein is going to be super satiating, which means it's going to keep you feeling fuller longer. So if you're someone that struggles with a lot of hunger throughout the day, take a look at how much protein you're consuming and maybe increase that a little bit. And that's also why we need to have protein throughout our whole day. At every single meal, it should always be on your plate and a part of all of your meals so we can stay satiated all day long, right? How much protein should you be getting per day? It's about 1.6 grams per 1 kilo of body weight. What does that mean? I'm here in America. I go by pounds, right? So there's kind of this scale, right? And at the farthest end of the scale, the minimum amount of protein I think everybody should be consuming is at least around 0.73 grams per pound of body weight. That's the absolute minimum, okay? Now again, there's a scale and it goes all the way up to like 1.2, 1.6 grams. I've even seen research done on that. From 0.73 grams to 1.6 grams of protein per pound of your body weight. Okay, so if you're a 100-pound person, you should be getting, I don't know, you do the math, 0.73 to 1.6 times 100. I had to think about that for a second, right? At this minimum amount, who gets that? Who's that good for? I would assign that much to someone like my mom, right? Who's not super active, who's not an athlete, who's not looking to build muscle, but just wants to be healthy, right? Just wants to get enough, like at the minimum amount. And anything over that might be a little bit tough for that person, okay? But if you're watching this live, if you're anything like me, you are an athlete. You're fitness passionate female. Hello, here for it, okay? So that's why I don't dose out minimum doses. I usually like to be around 1 gram per pound of body weight, okay? So say I'm 150 pounds, I should be aiming for 150 grams per day of protein, okay? I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense down below. Give me a little heart. Give me a little heart. There's this term called the protein leverage theory. This is super interesting, you guys. And I love talking about this one, okay? And it's this theory that when your protein is low, say I just woke up today and I'm going about my day eating my food, but my protein is nowhere near where it needs to be. This is what's going to happen. Your body will start stimulating your appetite. It will make you hungrier or crave more food in an attempt to recoup that protein that it needs, right? It wants you to start eating, screaming, I need food, hoping that some of that's protein, and it will do that until it recoups that needed protein. It's pretty interesting. All right, that's protein. Let's move on to carbohydrates, all right? Carbs are going to be your most readily available source of energy for your body. Your body needs carbs to have energy to do anything, to get out of bed. We're no longer a vegetable. We want to be a functioning human. We want to get out of bed. We want to go to the kitchen. We want to make breakfast. We want to do chores. We want to go to work. We want to sit at work and be a really great employee, right? And work hard. Okay, well, your brain requires energy to function. Okay? Everything that you're doing, me just sitting here talking to you guys, like moving my hands, because I talk with my hands, is using up energy. Carbohydrates, okay? Now, if you're a fitness passionate female like I am, and I go to the gym on a regular basis, right? I need even more carbohydrates than someone who doesn't work out. Okay? And then depending on your type of workout and how hard you're working out, how intensely you're working out, you then need extra energy to recover afterwards. So you need energy to fuel it, you need energy to recover. So you need even more carbs, okay? Carbs are extremely important for all of us, but especially for us active females, okay? So it's your body's most readily available source of energy. 1 gram of carbs is also 4 calories, just like protein, okay? So same conversion and multiplication and math goes into play here, okay? Now, you might hear this sometimes. Carbs are not essential to live for life. They aren't. Your body can still survive without them. You see people, they're keto fanatics. They're going into ketosis. Great. Carbs aren't essential. But essential does not mean optimal. Essential does not mean healthy either. Like, you can still be alive and not be healthy. Right? You can still be alive and not be like firing on all cylinders and feeling optimal. Right? You can still be alive and not killing your workouts or PRing your lifts or building muscle. Okay? So I'm not here to talk about essential, I don't know what I'm trying to say there. I'm not here to talk to you about like what you need to just be alive. I'm here to talk to you about what you need to live an optimal life. There we go. How's that? Okay? So no, they're not necessarily essential, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be consuming them. All right? So the truth is, there's a fact, when you're lifting weights, carbs are going to be also one of your building blocks, just like protein. Building blocks and part of building muscle. Why? I'm going to tell you here in a second. Number 1, carbs are muscle sparing. What does that mean? When your body is not consuming enough protein, it can actually go through this process where it starts to use carbs to repair your muscle tissue and do protein's job, okay? So now imagine if you are a female who's passionate about their fitness, consistently in the gym, trying to change their physique, not getting enough protein. Whether you just don't like protein, or maybe you just don't know how much to consume, or maybe you're not tracking or paying attention. You're just not eating enough protein, but you're also afraid of eating carbs, and you avoid them. Then what? You're not going to be reaching your goals. You're going to be spinning your wheels. Nothing's going to be happening. Okay? So that's a really important fact to remember. Okay, number 2, carbs boost growth of your muscles, and I like to say preservation. We want to at least preserve our muscles that we do have, and then hopefully grow some more. Okay, so carbs help that happen with your protein. They're like best friends. They're like BFFs. They do the job better together, better than just protein on its own. So protein's going to get the job done. okay? But in the presence of carbs, your protein is going to go even further and do more for you. How amazing is that, okay? Number 3, I already talked about this a little bit. Carbs are your fuel and your recovery for your muscles. Your muscles run off glycogen, okay? When you deplete that glycogen, you need to replenish that glycogen for your next workout, for all the energy you're going to need for everything you're doing the rest of today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, okay? You've got to keep those glycogen stores on full. It's like your gas tank, your muscle's gas tank, right? And research shows, as a fact, if given the choice, your body will always choose, I shouldn't say always, let's say your body will choose 9 times out of 10 times, your body will choose carbohydrates over fat for its energy. Okay, this is just a fact. Okay? So I don't want to say that it will always choose it, because there are always those outliers out there or people who are fat adapted on purpose, right? Number 4, super important fact to remember, carbs blunt cortisol in the body, okay? So we know that when you are chronically living in a high cortisol state, if you're a stressed out individual, if you live a stressed out lifestyle, whether it's physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, they're all different. They appear differently in our lives and come at us differently from different situations and environments and people and what have you. But our body processes them internally the exact same way. Boing, cortisol goes up, right? That stress hormone. Carbs are going to shut that down, bring that back down for you. Insulin spike shuts off that cortisol, right? So your body cannot ever enter into a rest and recovery mode when you're just living chronically high cortisol all the time. Stress. Okay, the inverse of cortisol is melatonin, our sleep hormone. But if you're always high cortisol, even at 9 p.m. at night, how's that melatonin going to do its job? How are you going to be able to sleep well and your body physically rest and recover? When you're resting and recovering, that's when you're building and burning. Okay? If you're not in that place, that's not going to happen. Got it? Number 5, carbs stimulate your metabolism, amazingly. Right? A lot of times I just increase a client's carbs and poof, their fat loss takes off. Carbs also help supply our body with very necessary nutrients, okay, that we wouldn't get in the absence of carbs, because there are a lot of nutrients in our foods, micronutrients in our foods, that only get absorbed and shuttled to where they need to be in the body in the presence of carbs. It's those carbohydrates that shuttle them. Okay, so when you're not eating carbs, you're missing out on those. Got it? Awesome. Y'all are the best. Okay, that's carbs. Are y'all learning any new information? Let me know down below. What's like blowing your mind, okay? We got fats coming up. This is our last one. Fats, I call the hormone macro. Protein's the body building, carbs are the energy, fats are for your hormones, okay? The hormone macro. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. Protein and carbs both have 4. Fat has 9. It's more than double. So it's going to be the most calorically dense macro of the 3, okay? Which means just a tiny little bit of fat packs way more of a calorie punch, goes a lot further, okay? So oftentimes it can like elicit the most changes in your body, whether it's weight gain or weight loss, just by a little change up or down of fats, right? But it's going to be important for hair, skin, nails, beautiful hair, skin, and nails, which as a woman we all want, but also for that hormone balance, keeping those hormones happy, healthy, balanced, okay? I don't ever like to drop somebody below about 20% of their total calories in fat. Okay, so we want to be 20% of our total calories or higher for our fat, okay, because of hormone health, right? As long as that's in place and you're never dipping below 20%, how much that should be 25%, 30, 35, 40, 40. That can really be dependent upon the person and, you know, what they like to enjoy, what's enjoyable for them. Okay, so it can be a little bit fluid. As long as your total calories are in control. So if you have like a total calorie goal of 1,700, let's just say 2,000 for simplicity's sake. If you have a calorie goal of 2,000 per day, you've got your 1 gram per pound of body weight. Okay, now you got to figure out your carbs and your fats. As long as your fats are at least 20%, carbs and fats can really fill up the rest of those 2,000 calories however you want them to. As long as you're hitting that 2,000 calorie a day goal. Does that make sense? Okay, so those two can kind of be fluid, interchangeable with each other, as long as your calories are controlled. So, are you a fat person? Meaning, do you prefer fats? Do you enjoy fats? Do you really love fats? Or are you a carb person? Do you prefer carbs? Do you really love carbs, enjoy carbs? Do you want your carbs as high as they can possibly be? Or do you want your fats as high as they can possibly be? Do you love the peanut butters more? Or do you love, I don't know, like the macaroni and cheeses more? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So there you have it. Those are the 3 macros: proteins, fats, and carbs. How to track them best. Proteins and carbs are 4 calories per gram, and fat is 9 calories per gram. Okay. Carbs and fats can kind of be interchangeable depending on your preference. Protein should be about 1 gram per pound of body weight. And if you guys have any other questions beyond that, definitely drop them down below. Shoot me a DM. I'm happy to walk you through anything else. But tomorrow, I'm going to go live again. And we're going to talk about why tracking your macros matters, okay, when it comes to your goals. And we're also going to talk about the difference between weight loss versus fat loss. We're going to dive into that, which is one of my favorite topics. So I'm going to love teaching you guys a little bit about that. Because if you haven't noticed on my bio, it says fat loss expert. Not weight loss. I'm not a weight loss coach. I am a fat loss coach. And those are 2 completely different things. And that's depending upon, well, are you just tracking calories and trying to like slash your calories? Or are you tracking your macros and caring about the makeup of those calories and what your macros are? All right, so you guys make sure to tune in tomorrow for that chat, and I'll see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.